What's up and welcome back to the channel. My name is Tyler and this is episode number 2 of the $5,000 bankroll challenge, where my goal is to profit $5,000 in total within 1 month or 125 hours of playing time. Now this is a $100 tournament with a $50 add-on at halftime, making it a total of $150 for me. We're going to start with this one where I get dealt pocket tens in the low jack position. I raise it to 2,000, cutoff calls, big blind 3 bets me to 4,000. Now we're not super deep here. I only have about 16,300 in chips after losing those few small pots I was talking about, and I don't think a small 4 bet would make any sense here. So in my mind it's either a call or a 4 bet jam. So I'm definitely considering jamming here. I want to isolate him and go heads up. So that's exactly what happens because I jam it and the cutoff folds and the big blind calls. So you can see how it all plays out here with the original video and sound.
What you got?
Ace Jack versus 10.
It was straight.
And I 10 Jack.
Ace Jack. No, you don't.
7, 8, 9, 10 jacks. He would have had straight. What I tell you, Stevie?
I had to call it Ace Jack.
Next up, we get dealt 10 jack offsuit in the small blind. The blinds went up again to 100, 200. It's a family pot, everyone limps it to me, and I call in the small blind with big blind checking. The flop brings us top pair with some flush draws and a straight draw out there. So I lead with 1,500 thinking it's unlikely anyone has a premium here considering it was a limp pot. So I'm not putting someone on a better jack than me, but someone can definitely be on a flush draw or a straight draw, so I'm going to charge him here. Hijack is the only caller and we're heads up to a turn that brings a 10 of diamond, giving me a 2 pair. This time I lead with 6,000 and he instantly mucks, so we get another easy pot.
See if we can get one more club. Vlog, man.
This time I get dealt the premium pocket jacks. The blinds are now at 100, 200, and I'm first to act in the low jack because it's still only 6-handed. I decide to raise it up to 2,000. Hijack is all in with a short stack of 750 total. Big blind makes the call, bringing us 3 ways to a flop with one person being all in. Now I have a overpair, and again this board just gives some flush draws and also a straight draw. I decide to lead with 8,000 after big blind checks it to me and he decides to fold. It's heads up to a run out that brings the 5 of diamond on the turn and a 2 of diamond on the river. I show my pocket pair and my opponent shows pair of 7s with a king kicker, and that's not going to do it for him. We take down another pot and let's move on to the next. Next up, I'm dealt ace jack offsuit in the big blind. Hijack, button, and small blind all decide to limp in. Now I don't like playing limp pots, especially with this kind of hand out of position. So with that being said, I raise it up to 2,000 even though the blinds are 100, 200. And the reason for that is because I know my opponents are definitely able to call lightly or get a better idea of their range by raising even higher, meaning that they would pretty much only call better hands. So hijack calls and the other player folds. Now we're heads up to a flop that brings me top pair with a decent kicker. So I decide to check it to my opponent and he shoves all in with 4,850. Now there's just about the same amount in the pot already, so I definitely am not folding here. I decide to make the call and king of spade comes out on the turn with a 3 of heart on the river. My opponent shows 8-10 offsuit for a pair of 8s. So when he went all in, he had second pair with a mediocre kicker and I already had him dominated. I was able to set the trap, he fell for it, and we take down another pot. A player has now been taken out and we are now 5-handed at this table. So once one more person gets knocked out, we'll be at a final table. I am dealt pocket queens and I raise it up to 3,000 with first to act in the hijack position. Blinds are now 200, 400, and again, just like earlier, I'm not going to play these types of hands slowly, especially when I know they have a very, very wide range when we're making small raises. So that's why I typically go big in these types of tournaments. Cutoff and button is going to decide to call, and big blind 3 bets me to a minimum of 6,000. And I'm just thinking this is the perfect time to 4-bet here. I have a premium. There's a decent amount of people in the pot here, and I was just 3-bet. So he's of course got to have something pretty good. If I, raise it this aggressively pre-flop to 3,000 when blinds are only 200, 400, and he 3-bets it to 6,000, so he's definitely have to have some kind of good hand. So with that being said, I decide to 4-bet it to 20,000 all day. Button calls, and so does the big blind. We're 3 ways to a flop. That gives me an overpair. There's no ace out there. There's no king. I got less than 25,000 left, so I just shove it all in because I'm not letting anyone see a free or a cheap card. After my 25,000 shove, they both end up making the fold, but the dealer runs it out to see if he would have hit anything, and the king does come on the river, and he told me that's exactly what we had. So I think we made a great bet to get him out of there on the flop, and we get another big pot shoved our way. We get dealt another beast of a hand, the pocket tens. We're still 5-handed, but blinds did go up now to 300, 600. Everyone limps it to me, and I raise it up to 5,000 in the small blind. Cutoff is the only caller, and we're heads up to a flop. Again, it's bringing me another overpair, and there's another flush draw out there and another small straight draw. This time I'm going to lead with 12,000, and he folds, and we take it down another pot. I get dealt another pocket pair, which is pocket sevens. I'm first to act in the hijack position, and I raise it up to 3,000. And surprisingly, every single person makes the call. So we're 5 ways to a flop. That brings me a open-ended straight draw with second pair. It's checked around to the cutoff, who goes all in with 13,650. Everyone else quickly folds it to me. Now, I know this player shoves light. It's the same player who shoved earlier with 10-8 offsuit for third pair. And I know he can go as far as even having ace high. So with that being said, I could definitely have him beat already here. And if not, I still have 10 outs if I hit my straight or 7. But I honestly believe I already have him here. So with that being said, I make the call, and we go to a run out that brings the 10 of diamond on the turn and the ace of spade on the river. My opponent shows us ace 9. He was on a gut shot straight draw, and he had an ace high on top of that. So we definitely made the right call, considering we did have him dominated on the flop, but he got lucky on the river, and he's going to take this one down, unfortunately. Next up, it's folded to the button, who decides to limp in, and small blind follows suit. I'm in the big blind with 7-10 offsuit. It's not a very good hand, so I decide to just check it. It's 3 ways to a flop that brings me trip 10s. Small blind checks it, and I decide to check here because I've been playing aggressive all game, and we got to switch it up sometimes so we're not always playing the same way when we flop a big hand. The button follows with a check, and the turn comes out with a 7 of heart, giving me a full house, 10s over 7s. We just hit the nuts, and it's time to build this pot up. So I lead with 2,000, button calls, and small blind folds. The river brings a 9, which I have nothing to worry about, and with me having this big of a hand, I think it's a great time to put in a overbet and make it look like the big stack is trying to bluff a small stack. As soon as I lead with 10,000, my opponent snap calls. We show him the bad news, and he shows us ace 9 for a river pair. I guess he didn't believe me, and it was a perfect timing for me. We take down another pot. Our next playable hand, we get dealt queen jack of diamonds in the cutoff position. It's folded to me, and I decide to raise it up to 4,000. Button's gonna call, and we're heads up to a flop that brings me top pair. I check, and my opponent leads with 1,500. Then I decide to check raise it to 4,000 to go. He doesn't think long before shoving all in for a total of 32,000. Now, this is a huge 4-bet jam, but I know this opponent very well, and he's the same guy that's been shoving on me with third pair and ace high. So he could definitely have a weaker jack than me, or just a pair of sevens, or again, ace high, just trying to get me off the hand. So with that being said, I know that I can definitely be good here already. So I make the call, and it's heads up to a run out. The turn brings a 3 of club, and the river brings an ace of spade. My opponent shows 7-8 offsuit for a second pair. So again, I read this opponent correctly this time, and we're going to take him out again for a second time. So we're doing great, and we are on a run. Now let's move on to the next hand. We are now at the final table, which started with 9 players. However, a couple of rounds went by where we did not pick up any playable hands, and 2 players have already been knocked out. This leaves us with 7 players remaining, and rebuys are no longer available. I'm starting this hand with about 136,000 in chips. It's folded to the hijack, who raises it up to 8,000. The cutoff 3 bets to 16,000. I'm dealt ace queen offsuit on the button and decide to make the call. Hijack follows after the blinds fold. The flop comes out giving us top pair with a great kicker. It's checked to me, and it's a dry board, so I check it with everyone else, and the turn comes out a 10 of diamond. This time the cutoff leads with 10,000. I'm still not worried about this because, like I said, it's a dry board. There is a straight draw out there, but not too really worried about that. So I decide to make the call, and so does hijack. The river brings out a 2 of club. It's checked to me, and I raise it up to 25,000. Then hijack shoves all in with 40,000 on top of my 25,000. So that's a total of 65,000, and the pot is now 171,000 with only 40,000 to call. Now this is odd to me because this player didn't make a move until literally the river. So it makes me believe that river helped him somehow, which the only way that's possible is if he has pocket 2s or he's just completely bluffing. And I go into the tank after the cutoff folds because I'm just lost for words right here, because I don't see any other hand he could really be doing this with besides maybe ace 10 or maybe a straight with a 3, but it's unlikely he has a 3 here. I'm not really putting him on a 3. But at the end of the day, it's only 40,000 to call to try to win in a pot of over more than 200,000. So with that being said, I make the reluctant call, and he shows me the bad news of having trip 2s. So I definitely read him right on the river there, and he did have a set. It's unfortunate for us. We should have been more aggressive on the flop and the turn, but it is what it is. Sometimes we lose some, sometimes we win some, and this one we just played terribly and we let him get there. But it's alright. Let's move on to the next hand. We're going to try to make a comeback because this did take a massive chunk out of my stack, and it definitely hurt us, especially with the blinds going up significantly. But let's try to get back out of this. We are now down to 4 players at this table. A couple of levels went by, and the blinds are now up to 8,000, 16,000. Cutoff decides to limp in, and the small blind limps as well. With only 46,500 in total chips and less than 3 big blinds, I've just been waiting for the right moment to shove it all in. And this is good timing because I'm in the big blind right now, and I'm dealt ace 7 suited. And you already know I shove all in with a total of 46,500. Cutoff doesn't think long before making the call, and small blind folds. We're heads up to a run out, and you can watch the original video and sound to see how it all plays out.
Keep him low. Just keep him low. I like that.
Oh, look at
Keep
that.
him low.
One more diamond.
Keep him low. I got it. Ace high.
God damn. You ace high won that?
Yup.
Wow.
Getting up about it, I almost hit another one. Almost hit something.
How you get that lucky,
There
bro?
wasn't that much I had to call.
Shit, it was enough for him to bounce back.
They're on to the next hand, and I'm just counting out my chip stack because I have already folded. And there's a big hand happening where one player went all in and ended up losing the hand. So now we're down to 3 players. I'm sitting on about 171,000 in chips. Blinds are still 16,000, 32,000, which gives me just over 5 big blinds. And I'm in second place in chips. First place is sitting on about 6 or 7 big blinds. With that being said, we're pretty even here as far as chip stacks go, and being this late in the tournament, the blinds are extremely high. We're all sitting on just a few big blinds, so when it's this late in the tournament, it could really go anyone's direction, especially if someone gets a premium hand. They can easily take, you know, a few big blinds from somebody, really crippling them. So with that being said, we decide to chop it 3 ways. There's a total of $2,100 in the pot between all of the entries and the add-ons and also the rebuys. So with $2,100 in total, and there's 3 of us remaining, we decide to chop it 3 ways and get $700 each person. Now, my total buy-in was $150. I didn't have any rebuys, just 1 entry and the add-on. So we profit a total of $550 in a total of 4 hours. So it's a pretty good profit. This is our second session after starting the $5,000 bankroll challenge. So between these 2 sessions, we are off to an amazing start. I mean, we got a total of $654 in profit over the last 2 sessions. And this gives us a whopping $72 per hour, given we played a total of 9 hours of playing time. So we're off to an amazing start for this $5,000 bankroll challenge. And if you remember correctly, the goal is to profit $5,000 within 1 month or a total of 125 hours of playing time. So we're definitely on track right now. Let's keep the momentum going, and I will see you guys on the next video where I play a $1, $3 cash game at the casino. See you guys there. Peace.